Most chiropractors that I come across can be found flying too close to the ground. That's because they don't give themselves permission to soar. High performance chiropractors have figured out to focus on the possibilities rather than on limits or obstacles. Becoming a high performance chiropractor means rethinking the way that you've been thinking. And that's what we're going to be talking about on today's show. So make sure you stick around for that. Before we get started, though, got the wrong stuff up there, don't I? That's last week's show. There we go. Question of the day. What job would you do if you weren't able to do your current job? Once you put the answers down in the comments down below, I've already got mine down there. I feel like I'd be doing something. Let me play here. In criminal forensics, just something that's always, I shouldn't say always fascinated me. It didn't when I was in college thinking about a career. Originally was going to go to business school before I ended up in chiropractic. So I didn't think about it much then. I was a math major, economics minor. Really wasn't on my radar back in those days. But since then, just I guess watching CSI, reading a bunch of books, criminal forensics kind of interests me. So that's my answer. Put your answer. What would you do if you weren't doing your current job down below? Also, I want to make sure I mention there's a link down in the comments as well. Make sure you join the High Performance Chiro group. We've been putting this show back together, going daily for you, and I've got some new stuff planned for this week. So I would love to have you in the group. Just click on that link down below and go request to join if you're not joining already. I see John Athanasios. I'm hoping I say that right. Joining me. Thanks for stopping by. John, still, let me know about Illinois. Are you still on your vacation, or are you opening up from there? Let me know. All right. So again, talking about becoming a high performance chiro on Monday morning shows, giving you the 14 secrets of high performance chiropractors. We've already discussed that, high performance chiropractors have figured out to quit trying harder, to quit butting their head up against a window, and to back up and look for a different way. Somebody emailed me and said that just means work smarter, not harder. Yeah, kinda. But it really is all about that strategy. There's a little bit more to it than that. That's a pretty cliche way of saying it, but I agree with the sentiment. Today I want to talk to you about what's possible for you. The title today is to think beyond what common sense would allow. And as I said in the intro, too many of us are flying too close to the ground because we kind of take what's given to us as opposed to really going after what we want. I find that too many chiropractors are waiting for permission to grow. They're waiting to see somebody else do it first before they go on. As I mentioned, becoming a high-performance chiropractor means rethinking the way that you've been thinking. You need to let your desires, what you really want, guide you instead of kind of boxing yourself in by perceived constraints. And that's exactly what they are, is they're perceived. The limits that you place upon yourself are way more dangerous than the limits that are actually placed upon you. High-performance chiropractors have figured out that we can kind of violate those boundaries of what's possible or what common sense would allow. And you need to do that too if you want to become a high-performance chiropractor. You need to free yourself from what you think you can have. You need to start going after what you really want. So, if you are waiting for permission, I hereby grant you that permission to go after the things that you want, to free yourself from those perceived constraints. Because again, that's what helps high-performance chiropractors become high-performance chiropractors, because they've just gotten rid of, I shouldn't say gotten rid of, a lot of times it's a conscious choice. It's not like they don't feel that same stress, those same constraints. It's just that they've chosen to break through them. And they've chosen to believe that the things that they want, they can go after, and therefore they do. So, what are we looking for here? Is it just a 10 to 20% improvement? I'm guessing by the way that I asked that question, you know that 10 to 20% improvement is not the idea here. 10 to 20% improvement, which a lot of people think of as, that's when I'm going to grow 10% this year. And they think of that as what they're allowed to have. Again, what they've been given permission to have. High performance chiropractors don't think that way. 10 to 20% improvement only represents an incremental gain, right? Tiny little step-by-step gains, which will get you Don't get me wrong. If that's what you're looking for, and over a course of time, those small gains mean a lot. But as I've mentioned many times, when I look at people's stats who have grown to high performance levels, it never grows incrementally. It's always a huge jump. Hang out for a while, another huge jump. And that's what we're looking for here. High performance chiropractors are looking for dramatic, multiple gains, even an exponential increase. They realize where they're at is not where they want to be, and they jump to that next level dramatically. Like I said, exponentially. And that's what we're looking for you as well. And that's where we're going to get that huge jump in our performance by believing that we can have it, by not allowing ourselves to be constrained by, again, those perceived constraints. So, as I say all this, some of you may be getting the idea that anything is possible. And every time I say that line, I'm thinking about Kevin Garnett. Anybody watched when he won the Celtics won the title, and he screamed that out. I'm going to tell you, that's not true. Anything is not possible. There are limits. So don't go thinking that I'm telling you that anything is possible, because it isn't. But here's the key. In some areas of your life, what lies right within your grasp is enough to blow your mind. What you're capable of is more than enough. So to sit there and say anything is possible, there are limits. Limits do exist, but you don't need to worry about those limits. You don't need to worry about them, because your real limits, what is actually possible to you, is far beyond your artificial boundaries. So those perceived constraints you set for yourself, what's possible for you is way above that. So although there are limits, you don't need to worry about them. They're way beyond where you actually can get to. High performance chiropractors have figured that out. They figured out how to get past those artificial boundaries, how to get past those perceived constraints. They've basically sacrificed their old beliefs, their sensible thinking patterns, what common sense would tell you is possible. They've gotten past those. These high performance chiropractor strategies that I'm sharing with you in these 14 secrets are based on what common sense would say is impossible. Common sense would tell you you can't do. And that's what you need to get over in order to hit those higher levels. So keep that in mind. All right. So any answers? John answered my question. Only going in for emergencies. We are essential, need to work, but being careful. Completely understand that. I'm not in that situation, but I'm not in that situation. I don't know what I would do if I was in practice still. I'm certainly behaving differently than I ever have in the past. Just to be using hand sanitizer just blows my mind that I would do it, because it's not something I've ever done in the past before. So I certainly don't know what I would do as far as being careful for myself and my family and spreading this thing, and how much of it's real, how much of it's not, I don't know. We're being safe over on this end as well. So glad to hear you're being safe, John. If you're watching this on the replay, again, make sure you answer the question today. What would you do if you weren't able to do your current job? Everybody watching right now live, make sure you put that in the comments down below. Let's see here. Coming up tomorrow. Oh, yes, we're doing another part of our mental exercise. So last week we cleared off our mental desk, if you remember. If you didn't see that show, make sure you go back and watch it. Tomorrow we'll be closing open loops, which is a very, very important part. A lot of you understand the concept of an open loop, right? And some of you don't. Actually, when I mention that word with a lot of chiropractors, they're like, what do you mean? Open loops means something that you want to get done. You started a loop, you opened a loop, you said, I'm going to get this done, and it's just sitting out there. So when we talk about messy desks, whether it be physical or mental desks, it's things that are open, that we haven't closed them, and we want to close those open loops. We want to finish some of the things that we have open to get them off and get them done with. Now I see it on the social medias and in my own life. We spent all day yesterday cleaning up some stuff in the basement. Again, as most of you know, garage burned down. A lot of stuff going on. You probably heard the drilling here a second ago. Actually, that's not drilling. That was sawing. A minute ago, they're still finishing up downstairs. We're still finishing out the basement for the new Chiro Launch headquarters. So there's just a lot going on, a lot of open loops. Yesterday, we spent the whole day closing a few of them, both in the basement, on the backyard, and cleaning up some of the messes we've had since November, since the fire. And it just felt so good to do that. So tomorrow, we're going to show you how to close some open loops to get you some more closure and make sure that you're more effective as well. I hope you're enjoying the segments. Again, make sure you click on the link down below and go to the High Performance Chiro group, and make sure you answer the question today, and I will see you all. Let's see here. John says, I'd be in a dentist or work on, oh no, recycling, the family business. I was not aware of that with you, John. Dentist. I can see that as well. I know my daughter was actually considering going into dentistry before she chose business at the University of Iowa. So, hope you all have a fantastic Monday. Great start to your week, and I will see you all tomorrow morning while we close Open Loops.